guys. Ugh. He's like, what the fuck is going on? So, how's it going, guys? I am back. This is the first one of my pets. This is the first one of my kitties. This is Tiny. I have had Tiny for probably about 5 years now. And I've had one set of kittens with her. I helped her have them when she was preggo. And she is the most I like all of the emotes, guys, or Kronzo. But she is a wonderful cat. She is so chill. She just doesn't care as long as you're giving her love. She is just a wonderful specimen of a feline. She's very mouthy. She is... Thank you, dude. Yeah, she's very cute. She's a very vocal cat. She will definitely let you know when something's up. But for the most part, she's wonderful. And she likes to sleep with us. She gets very stressed out if we stay up too late. She starts to lose her mind again. Meow, meow. She's like freaking out. She's like, why aren't you guys in bed yet? Is that right? But I have probably no, I don't have that pet. I do not have a squid. Although that would be pretty cool. I've heard squids and octopus are really smart, so I think that would be kind of neat if it was actually a thing to do. But Tiny is the pet that I have owned the longest. Out of all of my pets, I've had her the longest. I had her before I even moved into this house. Oh, you gotta go. Love you, kitty. And when I moved over here, she had her boyfriend Artemis. But he ran away shortly after moving into this place. Next up, looks like my girlfriend has brought me my beauty. Hi, Shoo Shoo. Yeah, I got her. Alright. So, this little lady here, this is our bearded dragon named Mushu. So, we named Mushu back when we first got her and brought her home. And, come here. Come on. Got you. Dad's got you. Let go. Go with my shirt. We brought her home. There we go. Woo! There you go. Good little view of her. But we brought her home thinking she was a... Oh, you got her. Okay. Here. Rudeberg is bringing in Tuna. This is my other kitty. She is very antisocial, so we only have a second to show her off. She's lovely around the house, but she doesn't like to be held. I didn't even think we'd get to show her off, so that's good that we did. But Mushu, when we brought her home, we thought she was supposed to be a male. She was sold to us as a male, but it didn't take us long to figure out she's actually a female. And she is probably about 2 years old now. And she is wonderful. Bearded dragons, for those of you guys who don't have reptiles as a pet, they are probably one of the best starter reptile pet. She is... You like Cresties. She is a little bit high maintenance. You need to be able to have the heat up for them, and their bugs are a little bit annoying to keep. We like using super worms, but... Hi, man! But she is a wonderful little dragon. She hangs out for the most part and sunbathes, but we've been home on quarantine. We've definitely noticed that she goes a little psycho during the day. She likes to run laps around her enclosure. And we'll show... Yeah, dude, she's super cute. Yeah, for sure. I love her a lot. She doesn't like to come out very often. But when she does, she's pretty chill. You can see she's kind of giving me the eye here. Are you looking at my pooter? You looking at all the pretty lights? But start with the snakes, and then we'll tag team trying to grab the gerb. What's that? We'll do gerbils last. Pip after snakes. All right. So I'm gonna give Mushu back. Jaqueen. It's like asking a parent if they have a favorite kid. Rutabaga has no problems. I would say that I have a mild favorite, but that's only because I wanted to own a snake for a pet for the longest time. When I was a kid, like when I was 14 or 15 was the first time I had an interaction with a snake as a pet, and I wanted one so bad. But when I was living under my parents' roof, I wasn't allowed. It was just part of their rules. They didn't want anything like that as a pet in the home. They believed it was going to be stinky and house a bunch of diseases and stuff like that. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for the first snake that we got. His name is Groot. I'm not sure which order that Rutabaga is going to bring out the snakes in. I'm assuming from top to bottom, so Groot will probably be the last one we get to see today. But next up after Mushu, we're going to have the 4 ball pythons come out. So all 4 of these snakes are the same species. We have 2 gerbils, Jaqueen, and we're going to try and pull them out last, but they're very hard for me to grab, so might be a little tricky, but we're going to see what we can do for you guys. Now, as I was saying, the 4 snakes I have here, they're all the same breed. They're very timid snakes. All 4 of them do have different morphs, however. Yeah, dude. Oh, and we have them in a large enclosure, so they have a lot of room to dig around and stuff like that. So they have this huge tunnel system. It's tricky to pick them up sometimes, and they're very, very fast. So, but with the 4 snakes, they're all different morphs. I'll tell you what the genetics they have and show them off to you. So first off, we got our little man Stitch. So we got Stitch just over a year ago with his sister Lilo. Ooh, he is being a little bit of a goofy boy. So he is what you call. Come over here. There he is. He's checking out the camera. I'd say our most aggressive snake is probably our Lilo, which is this guy's sister, but she's only aggressive inside of her enclosure. Once you get her out of her enclosure, she's very, very timid. So Stitch here is a bumblebee. So that's a spider ball python with, I think, a fire genetic as well. And he also has what's called a het for ultramel. So that means he possibly has the genetics of another morph called an ultramel. It's a very light coloration, but he doesn't show any of those genetics. Now, the reason we got him with his sister is because she's a pastel het ultramel. That means if we ever decided to breed these 2, they could potentially do what's called proving out, and those 2 hets, so those 2 genetics that aren't showing in either of these snakes, could come out in their babies, which would be very cool. And an ultramel is a very interesting and very sought after morph, so it would be a very cool project. But we have a lot of other stuff on the go right now. That's definitely a ways down the road. So this is Stitch. I'm gonna let him go away because he's already getting a little wily here. Go. So we'll see who I get next. I think our friend here has perfect. Yeah. So Luna was the second snake we had. Here. She's a little bigger. She's one of our biggest, actually. So Luna was the second snake I picked up, and she is adorable. Now she's a very special snake. Here, I'll see if I can get a picture. So you can see that eye right there. How do I do this on camera? You can see that one of her eyes is actually, the camera doesn't show it very well, but one of her eyes is a fair bit bigger than the other eye. And we don't know for certain, but we believe that she's got a bit of a vision problem. So she's one of our most docile snakes out of all the snakes we have. She is the most chill. Once she finds a good place to hang out, she'll just kind of chill out on your arm. Honestly, if I was gonna play video games with any one of the snakes, this would probably be the one that I picked. Just because, like you can see, she just kind of chills out, hangs out here. So she is a butterfire. And similarly to the last two I was talking about, Groot, who we're going to show you last, he is a fire pinstripe, and if we ever did do any breeding projects and decided that she was one that we thought was fit for breeding, which we aren't sure of, probably not, but anyways, there's another chance at some very cool genetics there. So this is Luna, and then next up we have Lilo, which is the quote-unquote sister, more like girlfriend of the first snake I showed you. So. She's got me pretty good there. Alright. So, Jaqueen, you need a turkey face! Jaqueen, you were asking us who our most aggressive snake is. I wouldn't even call this little lady aggressive. She's just very enclosure protective. So if you come at her enclosure and you try and open up her drawer, while she checking out the camera. If you try and open up her drawer while she's exploring, checking it out, then she will get a little nippy, and she has bitten Rutabaga once. But like I said, guys, these guys are literally the least intimidating snake you could possibly own. I've seen pictures of like what you would call a vicious ball python attack, and it looks like pinpricks in your hands. You get a little bit of swelling because of like their mouths and stuff like that, but other than that, they're really nothing. They could bite you, latch on, wrap around your arm, and hold you for half an hour, and you'd still barely feel it tomorrow. So this little lady, she's definitely on the on our list of breeders. She is in perfect health. She has never missed a meal. She is a voracious little eater. So, but she is just a pastel, which is a pretty basic morph. I'm pretty sure it's just a lighter version of a normal. So, very, very pretty. All right, let's let her go home here. All right, now you guys were asking earlier about my favorite, and I would have to say this is the boy here. This is my man Groot. I don't know how I lucked out on getting this snake as my first snake, but he is just gorgeous, and he is such a rambunctious little guy. He likes to adventure. He is by far our most adventurous snake. Once you get him out, he will just go and motor around. He is so curious. He's looking right into the camera. That is adorable. I'm gonna have to clip this later. This is awesome. Oh yeah, isn't he? He's a fire pinstripe. And back when we were looking to pick him up, I was kind of in the market, and I was trying to convince Ruta that I wanted to get a snake. She had convinced me that we needed a beardy first, and that Mushu was the one who started our reptile obsession, but eventually I'm like, hey, I really want a snake, and some person local here posted him and was rehoming him. Hey, buddy. And he posted pictures, and I'll admit they were very, very good pictures. But as soon as I saw him, I'm just like, oh, I want that snake so bad. So he was the very first one I ever picked up, and I love this guy to bits. He is such a good snake. So we call him Groot the Poodle, just because he looks like a puppy dog. Alrighty. I'm going to let him go. He probably wants to go home too. We're going to show you the Crested next. And then last up, we're going to try and get the... we'll try and get the Gerbils out for you guys to say hello to. But I hope you guys are having a good time meeting all my animals. I love showing them off. Not many people really get to come by and see them face, and some people who do get kind of freaked out. So this, we call this one Pipsqueak. I think we've determined at this point that she is a girl. But we called her Pipsqueak because when we first brought her home, she was super tiny, and we really didn't know. Yeah, she licks a lot. She licks almost everything. Kind of how they determine their environment. Oh, I think you were talking about Groot. Groot, yeah, he probably was. He was smelling me. He was making sure that he knew who I was. But this is Pipsqueak. She is a crested gecko, or an eyelash gecko. And we've had her since she was a baby. Now you can see here, let's see if I can turn her. She's got a little stubby butt. So you call them frog butts. They can have a bit of more of a tail, but just like a lot of other reptiles, they can drop their tail, whoop, if they feel threatened. And we actually, personally, when I first got this little guy, I chose to take one without its tail because I thought it was adorable. So, whee! But they are arboreal, very cute and small. Yes, we always have to watch because we have the cats that kind of wander around the house. And if she ever decided to just jump to the ground, I would be afraid for the cats wondering what's going on there. But for the most part, the cats are kind of used to seeing around the house at this point. But they are pretty sweet. These guys are actually probably this is what Rutabaga would say is the best starter pet for you guys, because they're so easy to take care of. Literally, they don't need any heat. They don't need any lights. Just put them in a container that's got lots of climbing space, and you mist them down and you feed them. That's about it. She was a really picky eater for a while, but she seems to have picked it up, and she's now growing quite well. Alright, let's give her back to Rutabaga here. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. Chat, that is the majority of my pets. I have brought most of them in here. I do have a beta fish. Now, the beta fish is my kid's, so it's in her room and it's in a container. It's getting pretty old, chat. The fish has seen better days, and I don't know how much longer it has left to live. So, what food does the gecko eat? It's a powdered diet. So, we buy just a brand that you can get here, but it's like this powdered stuff that you mix with water, and it makes like a paste. It's usually a mixture of fruits and bugs that has been like freeze-dried, dehydrated, and then powdered up. So mix that up, you leave it in there for them. Eventually they find it and eat it. Some of them will eat some bugs. She used to eat crickets when we had crickets, but we don't have crickets anymore. And the super worms that we have are a little harder for. The snakes all eat rats. We feed them frozen rats that you heat up, so no live food here. And then the bearded dragon, she eats super worms. So they're worms that have like a shell on them. They're just feeder insects. So like I was saying, the fish, I'm going back to Hollow Knight as soon as we're done this stream. I've only got one pet left, and we're going straight back to Hollow Knight, man. I was just taking a little bit of a break here because I said that I'd show them off for 100 followers. So I don't know how many people came to check it out, but I'm also gonna post it to YouTube later. So, but I do have one more pet, actually 2 more pets, one type of pet. I got 2 gerbils. Shadow Mustang, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I do have 2 gerbils. I'm gonna see if I can get my hands on them. They are, yo, Subsonics. Thanks, dude. Good to see you guys. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of you guys coming to hang out. So that's very, very awesome. Thank you all for letting me know you're there. I'm gonna see if I can grab these gerbs, at least one of them. Their names are Mary and Jane. And if I can get one of them, I'll be happy, but no promises. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Queen, man, I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get more than 100 followers. I really appreciate that those words of support, though. I'm covered in I really, really appreciate that, man. So hopefully we'll get more people here eventually, but it's gonna be a while, I think. Can someone put the lid back on? Woo, she dropped her seed. That's okay. So this is, here, I'll bring her down. This is Mary, guys. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to sit down with her because she's very skittish and scurrying. But I was able to grab her. Oh, Warlock, you came in just at the end, my friend. I have already shown off most of the other ones, but you're catching the gerbs. Ooh, hey now. Hey now. Okay, I gotta go put her away because she's already nibbling at my finger. I'll go put her away. Ooh, hey now. Alright, guys. How's it going? I tried to grab Jane out of the enclosure. Yo! Yeah, dude. You like it? Do you like it? I hope you guys think it's cool. I've been digging, I had a bit of a crisis. I've been doing a faux hawk with my hair since I was like 16 years old. Thanks, dude. The gerbil was pretty cute. I wanted to go dye my hair, but hair is too dark. Yeah, dude, my hair bleaches really well, thankfully. So I got kind of lucky that I could do the bright colors. I had a bit of a mental breakdown a few weeks ago. I've been doing a faux hawk in my hair since I was like 16. And both my mom and my girlfriend were both just like, man, that's like that's such a 16-year-old haircut. You need to update it. You need to update it. I don't really deal all that well with change, so I tried it. And I came home and I freaked out. So I was just like, man, I gotta do something. I felt like I looked like a preppy kid, so I'm like, all right, well, let's just do something crazy with it and dye it crazy colors. And you know what? Add a little bit of color, and I really like it. So, Shadow Mustang Crested Geckos, I would say are probably one of the best reptile pets you can get. Like I was saying earlier, they're actually very, very easy. They don't need a lot of space, so the enclosure that we have for ours is only about that big by about just about bigger than the frame. Only about probably 1.5 feet tall by like 1/2 foot wide. and you just fill it with some substrate and a lot of branches and stuff for them to climb on. And literally all you need to do for them is mist them down every once in a while and feed them. And that's about it. So, super, super easy to take care of. They don't need any kind of heat. They don't need any kind of lights. Super, super easy. The snakes are easy for the most part, but you need to invest in actually having proper enclosures for them. There's been some people we've talked to have said that Cresteds benefit from having a UVB side, but there's no actual evidence to show that to support that. So they don't need any kind of light or heat. Same with snakes. So a lot of people will tell you that your snakes need UVB, but for the most part, there's been no research showing that actually gives them anything. In fact, there's been more research to show that snakes are bothered by the bright overhead light from the UVB. Oh, dude, that's very cool. I don't even think we can own alligator lizards here in BC, Canada. Yeah, no, dude, snakes do not like overhead lights. Like, some people will tell you that they do, but it's the brand of enclosure is Alienware. No, the brand of the enclosure is not Alienware. We actually bought one from a guy who makes them around here. So, I'm gonna fix this label real quick. We're gonna probably hop back over to Hollow Knight in just a sec here. Whoop! Not quite yet. No, so for the snakes, we have them in I like to call it our snake hotel. So it's what's called the snake rack. So it's basically just a shelf that has 3 separate shelves, and you have like a Tupperware container that is a certain size, a certain length and width, and you slide it into the back of the enclosure. You slide it into the shelf, and along the very back of each shelf is a strip of heat tape. So that's what provides warmth for each enclosure for the snakes to keep themselves warm. They want the belly heat. They don't want above heat or lights on them or anything like that. It just makes them uncomfortable. And then we kind of set up an extra enclosure for Groot because he was getting too big for those ones. I had a cool long heat rock for my alligator lizard, but and had killed him. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Yeah, when we first brought home Mushu, our bearded dragon, we had her on the sand that came in the starter enclosure, and we learned very quickly that that was not something we were supposed to do. So. Yeah, you know what, Warlock? I've never had ants as a pet, Jaqueen. Warlock, I spend a lot less time with my snakes than I actually thought I would. I thought that I'd have them out and around my neck and just hanging with me all the time. But after I got my first one, it didn't take me long to realize that the snake is much happier just being left alone. They are a wonderful, beautiful animal to own. They are fantastic to be able to pull out and look at every once in a while and even hang out with. Like, they do really cute stuff, like earlier when I had Groot out and he was like looking right at the camera. Like, I think that's adorable. But they're definitely just mostly for observing, and it definitely is something you have to set aside time for. You know, we have to check on their waters every other day at most. You know, cleaning up the poops, cleaning up their sheds. When warlocks pee, they leave a solid thing inside there as well. So it is a fair bit of maintenance, but we love them. Mushu loves to do that. Let me see. I missed some stuff here. Do you think ants are hard pets? I already said that. What do I use instead of sand? And licking me? Yeah, he was pretty cute. Shadow Mustang for our bearded dragon. Rutabaga, my girlfriend, has actually made a custom enclosure out of a dresser. So she got basically a hutch that was being recycled. She got it for like $15. She took out the shelf on the inside. She sealed it all up so any kind of moisture in there doesn't cause any damage. She put tile down along the bottom because bearded dragons can use tile for substrate. It's great. And then we mounted the lights in there, put up some decorations. She's way more handy than me. I can't take any credit for home projects. She's way better. This desk that I'm using right now, she did 95% of it. Like, I helped her transport it, and I gave her my vision. I told her what I wanted it to look like, and she did everything else by herself. So she's way more handy than me. I don't know what I'd do without her. Amen, brother. Amen. All right, my ball python full grown would do deer size. How big was your ball python, Warlock? Our biggest is Groot, and I think he's probably just under 4 feet at this point. But Lilo, she's only 2 years old, and she's coming up on his weight really fast. We're going to be heading back into Hollow Knight here in the next 8 minutes. I think I'm just going to give it a few more minutes of hanging out here. Ooh, yeah, you was a monster then. How often did you say you were feeding him? Because that's a really big boy. We feed our snakes every other week. Some people will feed them a fair bit more than that, but they really don't need it a lot more than that. Feeding him a full-sized rat once a week, sometimes every other week. It would depend on his body language. How much? I want to listen to him and try and okay, that's absolutely fair, Warlock. Most of the time, from what I've heard, and again, this is just the stuff I've read on the internet, so I'm no expert. I can only go off what I've read and what I've experienced with my own snakes. But they'll eat weekly, but a lot of the time, if they're eating that frequently, it'll cause them to grow faster than they need to, and it can kind of cause them to get very large very quickly, which can end up shortening their lifespan. So for the first year or so, generally you want to feed them for about every week, and then after that it's 9 to 14 days. Shadow Mustang, we do every other week. So Saturdays are our feed days generally. That's kind of shifted lately because we've been lazy and forgotten, but usually we'll feed on a Saturday, and then if any of our snakes don't eat, we'll try and feed them again the following week. But any snakes that do eat, they'll wait 2 weeks before we feed them again. And we feed them small frozen thawed rats. So. And Shaqueen, I like your snake. Do you know what breed it is, man? Yeah, hey, Warlock, for sure, man. Yeah, if he was already a big boy, then. Yeah, we're gonna be doing. So there, Shadow Mustang, there's definitely, also he watched for signs of obesity. Yeah, okay, good. So yeah, you were on it then. Shadow Mustang, we don't feed like that. Now, there are plenty of people who do. Plenty of folks who will just let their feeder insects go wild and let their bearded dragon deal with it. We used to do crickets for a long time, but they are such a pain to keep, chat. Like, holy cow, you gotta keep them in their own separate enclosure. You gotta feed them a special diet. they're noisy, they're stinky, and they're just not a good time. So we have super worms instead. They are much easier to keep. Pretty much they're just worms that are about this long. They've got like a outer shell on them. All we do is keep them in a container with some oats, and that's it. Yeah, kind of like mealworms, yes. But basically, when we feed her, we just pull them out one by one, toss them in front of her, and she'll just munch them. Generally, we'll feed her about 25 per feeding. And the way we feed her is we'll feed her a day of insects, a day of veggies and fruits, because they're supposed to eat some salad too, a day off of eating, and then we'll usually try and feed again. But she used to eat a lot when she was growing, but she doesn't eat nearly as much now that she's a full-grown beardy. So, but we also get her hornworms every once in a while for a treat. So they look basically like fruit gusher worms. They're like this long and they're blue. Oh my goodness. Yeah, technically. Now, I mean, it's not a big production. So we feed, and not every day. We do have an off day. So it's a 3-day cycle. 1 day bugs, 1 day veggies and fruits, and then 1 day off. So it's a 3-day cycle generally. Yeah. Bearded dragons are also great pets, Shadow Mustang, if you're looking at getting yourself your first reptile. They do have a fair bit more maintenance. You need to make sure you've got the heat set up properly. Fortunately, there's not humidity as well. Heat plus humidity is really getting tricky, so when you're looking at like frogs and stuff, but if you can get the heat set up and the light set up, the UVB, then it's good to go. But even then, the feeding them is a little bit on top because you want to make sure you're dusting and giving them proper nutrition and stuff like that.